Good morning and welcome to the 2020 Georgia Author of the Year Awards. My name is Valerie Smith. I've been a board member with Georgia Writers Association since 2017, and it's my honor to be your host for this year's Georgia Author of the Year Awards. We are grateful for our Georgia writers and proud of the work that they've produced, and we are so thankful to be able to spend this time together celebrating your success. A special thanks goes out to our esteemed judges who graciously volunteered to review over 110 nominated books in 14 categories. Our agenda for today is as follows. I will announce our Lifetime Achievement Awards and follow with awards in each category in alphabetical order from biography to young adult. For each category, I will read the list of nominees, the finalist, and the winner. The winner will receive this plaque titled The Sassy Buck by artist Sarah Farmer. We will begin with two very special awards. Our posthumous Lifetime Achievement Award. Leon Stokesbury is the recipient of the 2020 Posthumous Lifetime Achievement Award. Leon Stokesbury was born in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, but grew up in Southeast Texas. Leon retired from Georgia State University in 2018, where he taught in the creative writing department for 30 years. He earned an MFA in poetry at the University of Arkansas and a PhD in creative writing at Florida State University. Author and editor of several poetry collections, he received the Distinguished Georgia Poet of the Year Award in 1992. His first national publication was the poem, "The Lamar Tech Football Team Has Won Its Game," published in The New Yorker in 1967, while he was a student at Lamar University in Beaumont, Texas. His first book of poems, Often in Different Landscapes, was a co-winner of the first AWP poetry competition in 1975. He edited several poetry anthologies, including The Made Thing, an anthology of contemporary Southern poetry, Articles of War, American poetry about World War II, and The Light, the Dead Sea, the selected poems of Frank Stanford. His most recent book, You Are Here, Poems New and Old, was published by the University of Arkansas Press in 2016. Among other awards, he was selected for a Robert Frost Fellowship in Poetry from the Bread Loaf Writers Conference, was awarded the Poets Prize, and received a grant from the National Endowment for the Arts. Leon was widely admired as a masterful reader of poetry. Leon passed away in Tucker, Georgia on November 13th, 2018. We are grateful for Leon Stokesbury. Our Lifetime Achievement Award goes to Lynn Cullen. Lynn Cullen has lived in Intown, Atlanta for 36 years. Her novel, Mrs. Poe, a national bestseller, was named a Book of the Week by People magazine, a Target Book Club pick, an NPR 2013 Great Read, an Indie Next List selection, a Penny's pick at Costco, an Oprah Book of the Week, and Best of 2013 by Atlanta Magazine. Her novel, Twain's End, was a People's Magazine Book of the Week, a Townsend Prize finalist, named a book all Georgians should read by the Georgia Center for the Book, an Indie Next pick, and was featured, as was Mrs. Poe, in the New York Times Book Review shortlist. The Sisters of Summit Avenue was a fall 2019 Publishers Weekly Buzz book and received an American Library Association Booklist starred review. Her novels have been translated into 17 languages, and she has appeared on PBS American Masters. She is not done yet. Congratulations to Lynn Cullen, our Lifetime Achievement Award winner. And now on to our categories. For biography, the nominees are David Cady, Religion of Fear, The True Story of the Church of God of the Union Assembly. Tom Chafin, Revolutionary Brothers, Thomas Jefferson, the Marquis de Lafayette, and the friendship that helped forge two nations. Jamie H. Cockfield, A Giant from Georgia, The Life of U.S. Senator Walter F. George, 1878 to 1957. John D. Duncan and Sandra L. Underwood, The Showy Town of Savannah, The Story of the Architect William J. Leah Garces, Grilled, Turning Adversaries into Allies to Change the Chicken Industry. Harvey Clare, The Millionaire Was a Soviet Mole, The Twisted Life of David Carr. Congratulations to our to our nominees. The biography finalist is Religion of Fear, The True Story of the Church of God of the Union Assembly by David Cady. Vincent Coppola says of Religion of Fear, a timely look at how charismatic leaders and their cults take root in the fertile soil in the United States. Religion of Fear is the multi-generational story of a tiny breakaway Pentecostal sect led by an illiterate Appalachian preacher, C.T. Pratt, and his descendants, spread over the 20th century to include 15,000 members in 19 states. Like Jim Jones and Charlie Manson, the Pratts exploit fear, insecurity, and utter neediness to control and extract millions of dollars from their impoverished congregants. Happily, there is no Jonestown or mass murder in this story. Instead, a minor miracle, a third-generation descendant of Pratt, cleanses and restores the faith community. Congratulations to our finalist, David Cady. The biography winner is The Showy Town of Savannah, The Story of the Architect William J. by John D. Duncan and Sandra L. Underwood. Coppola says of The Showy Town of Savannah, the odyssey of the brilliant and little-known 19th century British architect William J. is the lens through which the oppressive weight of money, religion, tradition, politics, ambition, and ego undermine the success and ultimately the survival of an artistic soul. Savannah, Georgia, that jewel box of a city, is the canvas in which Jay's brief creative sally, 1817 to 1822, into a nascent United States is depicted. Jay's surviving Savannah structures, designed in the Regency style, described as an uncongenial blossom on American soil, provide the foundation upon which this well-written, informative, and thoroughly researched book is built. A tour de force. Congratulations to John D. Duncan and Sandra L. Underwood. Our next category, the children's book. The nominees are Shelley R. Johannes and Kimberly Dirting, illustrations by Vashti Harrison. Cece Loves Science and Adventure. Mike Lowry, Everything Awesome About Dinosaurs and Other Prehistoric Beasts. Deneen Milner, illustrated by Gladys Joes, Fresh Princess. Susheta Rawal, illustrations by Alexandra Abayu and Owana Vida. Beto Goes to Brazil. Tanya Valentine, illustrated by George Martin, Little Taco Truck. The children's book finalist is Deneen Milner, illustrated by Gladys Joes, Fresh Princess. Shonda McCloskey says of Fresh Princess, Fresh Princess is a story inspired by Will Smith, The Fresh Prince. As a fan of the reference 90s show, I loved this fresh female spin. Destiny, the main character, moves to a new city, but it hurts to leave behind her old kingdom. It takes real bravery to open her heart to new people, places, and things. And that's exactly what we get to see her do. I was especially moved by the last page, where Destiny is soaking up a glorious and memorable moment with her new friends. Congratulations to our finalist, Deneen Milner. The children's book winner is Little Taco Truck by Tanya Valentine, illustrated by George Martin. McCloskey says of Little Taco Truck, Little Taco Truck is the cleverest story about accepting and making room for everyone. The main character, a tiny taco truck, is worried that folks won't see him or like him as much since a bunch of new food trucks of different flavors and sizes now crowd his favorite street. Valentine found a perfectly kid-friendly way to touch on issues of insecurities around change, feeling angry, and making friends that are different from you. Brava! Congratulations to our children's book winner, Little Taco Truck by Tanya Valentine, illustrated by George Martin. For cookbook, the nominees are Jim Akhmuti, Smoke Lore, A Short History of Barbecue in America. Nathalie Dupree with Cynthia Graubart, Nathalie Dupree's Favorite Stories and Recipes. Whitney Ataka, The Saltwater Table, Recipes from the Coastal South. Chris Taylor and Paul Arguin, The New Pie, Modern Techniques for the Classic American Dessert. The cookbook finalist is The New Pie, Modern Techniques for the Classic American Dessert by Chris Taylor and Paul Arguin. Todd Richards says of The New Pie, I believe there is an unintended consequence in The New Pie by Chris and Paul. Their modern pies will quickly become American classics. They may not be seen on every windowsill, on the floorboard of a Chevy, or at Little League fundraisers. Pies like Blueberry Blues will be the new breakup pie or getting married pie, stacking too high while taking an Uber to a one-bedroom apartment party pie. As always, very classy. Congratulations to our finalists, Chris Taylor and Paul Arguin. The cookbook winner is The Saltwater Table, Recipes from the Coastal South by Whitney Ataka. Richard says of The Saltwater Table, Whitney Ataka's cookbook, The Saltwater Table, forever stamps Cumberland Island as a mainstay of Georgia, and now the national food scene. Unlike some chefs' cookbooks, where beautiful pictures outweigh content and functional recipes, the Saltwater Table cookbook is not just a coffee table book. It's a practical and delicious guide of coastal living and showcases vegetables and their textural importance to really tasty dishes. This is the hot sauce of great cookbooks are made of. Congratulations to our finalists and to our cookbook winner, Whitney Ataka. For Detective Mystery, the nominees are Steve Barry, The Malta Exchange; Betty Jean Craig, Saxons in Witherspoon, A Witherspoon Murder Mystery; A. Shane Etter, Devil's Sympathy; Jocelyn Jackson, Never Have I Ever; Sharon Marchicello, Secrets of the Galapagos; Brian Panowich, Like Lions; William Rawlings, The Girl with the Kaleidoscope Eyes, a novel; Paul Sinor, Picture This, a mystery novel of Johnny Morocco, Dixie Detective; Paul Sinor, That Old Black Magic; Karen Slaughter, The Last Widow; Maggie Toussaint, Dreamed It; Karen White, The Christmas Spirits on Trad Street. Congratulations to our nominees for Detective Mystery. The Detective Mystery finalist is Never Have I Ever by Jocelyn Jackson. Roger Johns says of Never Have I Ever, if you've ever wondered what it would feel like, and I mean really feel like, to be under the thumb of a highly skilled professional blackmailer, then read Never Have I Ever and you'll find out. In a story that made me squirm from the get-go, Jocelyn Jackson puts her protagonist in the crosshairs of a blackmailer who believes she is an agent of fate, an avenging angel anointed by destiny to extract payment and penance from those with hidden sins in their past. Is there anything more chilling than a psychologically astute predator who can predict your actions and reactions, who understands how the fan dance of revelation and threat can induce heart-pounding panic and paralyzing dread, who believes her own actions are justified and compelled by the moral infrastructure of the universe? Is there anything more riveting than an intricate battle of wits between a good person with everything to lose and an evil person who plays the game as if she has nothing to lose? With her exquisitely crafted characters and her razor-sharp insights into human nature, Jocelyn Jackson kept me anxious and afraid right down to the quivering tips of my sympathetic nerves, all the way to the very end. Congratulations to our finalist, Jocelyn Jackson. The detective mystery winner is Like Lions by Brian Panowich. John says of Like Lions is a powerful book that offers the reader an unflinching, sometimes heartbreaking look into the workings of an insular culture as it takes its first unsteady steps away from its bred-in-the-bone traditions of lawlessness, corruption, and epic violence. Through the eyes of Clayton Burrows, sheriff of a rural county in the Georgia mountains and heir apparent to a merciless crime family, we get a front row seat to the winner-take-all conflict between those with a vested interest in maintaining the dark status quo and the courageous people willing to endure any danger on their way to a brighter future. Change is never easy, and there's nothing like the prospect of sweeping change to bring out the best and worst in people, to expose secret lives and unexpected alliances, to force moral compromise onto the shoulders of the most principled of leaders, and to give those with a brave heart and a strong will the chance to model physical and emotional courage for the people they love. In Like Lions, Brian Panowich gives us a wrenching but ultimately hopeful and very intimate picture of the internal and external battles that are always stirred up by the winds of change. Congratulations to our detective mystery winner, Brian Panowich. Our next category is essay. The nominees are Jeannie Smith Bernstein, Skating on the Septic Tank; LaRue Cook, Man in the Rearview Mirror, That Time I Left Corporate America, Became an Uber Driver, and Lived to Write About It; Lori B. Duff, If You Did What I Asked in the First Place; Megan Volpert, Boss Broad; Larry Walker, Tales from Georgia's Gnat Line. Congratulations to our nominees. The essay finalist is Man in the Rearview Mirror, That Time I Left Corporate America, Became an Uber Driver, and Lived to Write About It by LaRue Cook. Andre Joseph Gallant says of Man in the Rearview Mirror, an earnest tenderness fills each page of Man in the Rearview Mirror. A reader learns fast that this is the result of a writer's careful ability to listen. Accepting ears are also the hallmark of a good driver, which is how LaRue Cook collected the stories he collates in this book. They came to him from the road, the paved runway that propels so many American stories in the form of Uber and Lyft rides. Each vignette opens the door into a different life, a different story, and Cook uses the opportunity to question choices made on his own journey. He's less tender with himself, but that's the mark of a smart writer and a caring human. Congratulations to our finalist, LaRue Cook. The essay winner is Boss Broad by Megan Volpert. Gallant says of Boss Broad is a deeply personal work of pop culture criticism in which the art one loves inspires and scuffles with our identities. Volpert writes in the engrossing, risk-taking fashion of rock criticism's heyday of the 1960s and 70s. She's unafraid to bend or pause her narrative if it will allow for another heap of context. Bruce Springsteen, leader of the celebrity specters Volpert channels in her book, served as a medium for old, weird Americans whose world collapsed during deindustrialization. Volpert performs a similar role, but draws from diverse experiences, including her own, all the while hoping that art might change the world. Congratulations to our winner, Megan Volpert. In the category of first novel, the nominees are Jason Allen, The East End; Clay Anderson, The Palms; Janine Englert, Lovely Digits; Anissa Gray, The Care and Feeding of Ravenously Hungry Girls; Jessica Handler, The Magnetic Girl; Cynthia Newberry Martin, Tidal Flats; C.L. Tolbert, Out from Silence; Lorelei Watson, Ain't Nothing But the Devil. Congratulations to our first novel nominees. The first novel finalist is The Magnetic Girl by Jessica Handler. Janae Aliu says of The Magnetic Girl, "Oftentimes, with historical fiction, I found the impetus for the story more fascinating than the reimagining of it. Not so with The Magnetic Girl. While Lulu's mystic powers may have been fraudulent, her magnetism certainly isn't. Under Handler's unwavering, voice-driven, evocative prose, Lulu proves to be an irresistible heroine. A less gifted writer may have been content to let the oddity of the real-life story of Lulu, an adolescent girl in post-Civil War Georgia, compelled by her father to produce shows demonstrating remarkable and dishonest feats of her electrical powers, produce the sparks on the page, so to speak. But Handler instead uses this as an access point into the more nuanced, compelling story beneath. The power Lulu wields on the stage, where she can beguile subjects and hurl grown men across the stage, is one in which she desperately wants to believe. The increasing dissonance of her performance with her reality, full of familiar heartache and betrayals, and the mere fact of girlhood in the 19th century South, is where the real drama unfolds. Poignant, layered, and downright fun to read, The Magnetic Girl is a thoroughly Georgian book that should captivate readers everywhere. Congratulations to our finalist, Jessica Handler. The first novel winner is The Care and Feeding of Ravenously Hungry Girls by Anissa Gray. Aliu says of The Care and Feeding of Ravenously Hungry Girls, Anissa Gray's novel not only takes on the challenge of writing about family, but masterfully renders the paradoxes native to the subject. How can those whom we've known longer, more intimately, and more passionately than anyone else in our world remain so mysterious to us? The rotating points of view of each chapter, handed off like a baton among the Butler siblings, constantly reorients the reader's perspectives and alliances, resulting in a novel of incredible moral complexity, wherein characters inflict and endure pain in ways that are cruel and yet tragically human. Viola, the middle Butler sister, struggles with a literal eating disorder, the mechanics of which are described vividly in a particularly painful chapter relatively early on in the book. But the novel's title refers not to just Viola's disordered eating, but to the hollow, hungry spaces in each of the Butler women, whose traumas threaten to be inherited by the next generation. Despite their individual and shared wounds, intersected with and compounded by the social forces that act in particularly unforgiving ways on the contemporary African Americans, there's an enduring tenderness among the Butlers that made me eager to accompany them from the first page to the last. As with my own sisters, despite the many moments of grief caused by and shared with them, I missed the Butler family terribly when it was time to bid farewell. Congratulations to our first novel winner, Anissa Gray. Our next category, history. The nominees are Elizabeth Chamblee Birch, Mass Tort Deals, Backroom Bargaining, and Multi-District Litigation. Virginia E. Causey, Red Clay, White Water and Blues, A History of Columbus, Georgia. G. Wayne Clough, Things New and Strange, A Southerner's Journey Through the Smithsonian Collections. George D. N. Coletti, DMD, presidential fodder. Stephen Davis, Texas Brigadier to the Fall of Atlanta, John Bell Hood. Gary S. Hawk, Emory as Place, Meaning in a University Landscape. Stephen Hoy and William Smith, Camp Oglethorpe, Macon's Unknown Civil War Prisoner of War Camp, 1862 to 1864. Andra Gillespie, Race in the Obama Administration, Substance, Symbols, and Hope. Akilah Sankar McConnell, A Culinary History of Atlanta. Shani Robinson and Anna Simonton, None of the Above, The Untold Story of the Atlantic Public Schools, Cheating Scandal, Corporate Greed, and the Criminalization of Educators. Congratulations to our nominees for the history category. The history finalist is A Culinary History of Atlanta by Akilah Sankar McConnell. Kay Lanning Minshew says of A Culinary History of Atlanta, Akilah Sankar McConnell focuses on the foods that Atlantis have eaten from the city's early days as Terminus and Marthasville and brings the journey to present days. She looks at the popular ingredients, dishes, cookbooks, and restaurants. She acknowledges the impact on which African Americans and large groups of immigrants have had on the food history, while also reminding us of wonderful foods served at Rich's department store and favorites still served every day at the Varsity. The book pays homage to great meals prepared by mothers, grandmothers, and household help, while other sections highlight the importance of farmers markets and the increasing prominence of foreign restaurants in the city. McConnell also looks at foods which were once popular in Atlanta, such as possum and wild game, and includes some recipes and menus. This extensively researched book will make you think more about the foods you eat in Atlanta and how the food is rooted in the history of the area. Congratulations to our finalist, Akilah Sankar McConnell. And the history winner is Things New and Strange, A Southerner's Journey Through the Smithsonian Collections by G. Wayne Clough. Lanning Minshew says of Things New and Strange, G. Wayne Clough analyzes the history of South Georgia as he takes us on a tour through some of the museums and galleries of the Smithsonian Institution, home to many of America's greatest treasures. While he served as the secretary of the Smithsonian Institution, the former president of Georgia Tech challenged staff members to help him find artifacts that shed light on the history of his native Coffee County in South Georgia. He examined a wide variety of objects that are housed in the Smithsonian museums. Artifacts include fossils, arrowheads, beads, and pottery shards from the days of Native Americans, preserved specimens of birds, insects, mammals, plants, rocks, and meteorites that crashed to the earth decades ago. He looked for physical evidence of earlier cultures and studied the gullahs and geechees of coastal Georgia. He concluded by looking for evidence of South Georgia arts and artists in the Smithsonian and spotlighted the former President of the United States and Nobel Peace Prize winner, Jimmy Carter. Clough reminds us that things that were taken for granted, such as Georgia's red clay, may contain valuable minerals and have significance, which helps explain the development of our area. Things New and Strange also reminds us that we have lost many species of birds, animals, and plants over the years. Our forebears found things in South Georgia that no longer survive. This richly illustrated book puts the history of South Georgia and the Smithsonian collections on display and should inspire all of us to periodically visit museums, including the Smithsonian, and search the digitized collections, which continue to grow online, for items which document our lives today. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, Things New and Strange reminds us of the fun we can have when we look at our world with a sense of wonder. Congratulations to our history winner, G. Wayne Clough. For the inspirational category, the nominees are Barbara Brown Taylor, Holy Envy, Finding God in the Faith of Others. Loretta Coleman Brown, PhD, When the Heart Speaks, Listen, Discovering Inner Wisdom. Tara Y. Coit, Real Talk About LGBTQIAP. Melvin Connor, MD, Believers, Faith in Human Nature. Carl McColman, Foreword by Brian D. McLaren, Unteachable Lessons, Why Wisdom Can't Be Taught and Why That's Okay. Robin Spiesman, forwarded by Donna Markova, PhD, Loving Out Loud, The Power of a Kind Word. Congratulations to our nominees for Inspirational. The Inspirational finalist is Unteachable Lessons, Why Wisdom Can't Be Taught and Why That's Okay by Carl McColman. Caitlin Curtis says of Unteachable Lessons, McColman writes a book about grief, silence, and the provoking and important lessons we continually learn throughout our lives. With vulnerable and honest stories, he reminds us of what it means to be human and how we experience sacredness in hidden places and often when we least expect it. This is a book about relationships, trust, and what it means to be human, both to ourselves and to one another. Congratulations to our finalist, Carl McColman. The inspirational winner is Holy Envy, Finding God in the Faith of Others by Barbara Brown Taylor. Curtis says of Holy Envy, Taylor's newest book, Holy Envy, is a vulnerable and curious examination of the way we relate to one another through a religious lens. Not straying from her own Christian background, Taylor takes the reader on a journey of understanding how we can better value one another as human beings. This book inspires and provokes, leading us on our own journey of asking big questions about what we believe and why we believe it. Congratulations to our inspirational winner, Barbara Brown Taylor. In the literary fiction category, the nominees are Zoe Fishman, Invisible as Air, Leanne Howe, Savage Conversations, Sarah Jones, Summer Squall, Sonia Kamal, Unmarriageable, Lilla Lawson, Monarchs Under the Sassafras Tree, Jack McDevitt, Octavia Gone, Mark Warren, Promised Land, Wyatt Earp and American Odyssey, Book 3, Susan Rebecca White, We Are All Good People Here, Snowden Wright, American Pop. Congratulations to our literary fiction nominees. The literary fiction finalist is We Are All Good People Here by Susan Rebecca White. Roberta George says of We Are All Good People Here, friendship over a long period of time is probably one of the hardest things to write about, and yet Ms. White does an excellent job of giving us a true picture of friendship between two women during the early 60s. How do our political choices define us, and how do we break from the past when those choices lead to destruction? The reader follows these two women during those eventful times and sees what their choices mean to them and to the people they love. Congratulations to our literary fiction finalist, Susan Rebecca White. The literary fiction winner is Invisible as Air by Zoe Fishman. George says of Invisible as Air, if you've never understood what opiates can do to some people, here's a good explanation. Sylvie Snow is a typical mother and wife with a job, trying to do all the tasks that are expected of her. And for her, underneath all the daily problems is the unresolved sadness of losing a stillborn daughter 3 years earlier. She takes one small white pill from her husband Paul's prescription. He's laid up with a broken ankle and doesn't like how they make him feel. And the effect is immediate and wonderful. Suddenly, she is able to handle everything with a smile. The stress of a bar mitzvah for her son Teddy, Paul's whine from the couch, and even the loss of her job. She promises herself that these pills are temporary fixes. along with the excellent writing that makes the reader want to find out what happens. In a way, this novel is an object lesson to us all that even with the best of intentions of only using the pills for a limited time, one can become addicted. It also comes with the realization that the other members of a family and even strangers want to help in times of need. A very real story that has the reader wanting Sylvie to find a solution to her problem, yet it is also a cautionary tale for our time, with all its emphasis on quick fixes from doctors and medicines. Congratulations to our literary fiction winner, Zoe Fishman. In the memoir category, the nominees are Heather Crissell, The Crying Book; Barry Goheen, forwarded by Buster Olney, Buzzer Beaters, and Memorial Magic, a memoir of the Vanderbilt Commodores 1987 to 1989. Candace Y. McDowell, Half the Battle; Carl Ware, Portrait of an American Businessman, One Generation from Cotton Field to Boardroom; Beverly Willett, Disassembly Required, a memoir of midlife resurrection; Jared Yates Sexton, The Man They Wanted Me to Be, Toxic Masculinity, and a Crisis of Our Own Making. Congratulations to our nominees for the memoir category. The memoir finalist is The Man They Wanted Me to Be, Toxic Masculinity, and a Crisis of Our Own Making by Jared Yates Sexton. Jim Abbott says of The Man They Wanted Me to Be, from the pages of The Man They Wanted Me to Be, Jared Yates Sexton emerges as not only a courageous survivor of childhood trauma, but also an exemplar of how to live life in these troubled times. Neglected or bullied by person after person, parents, stepfathers, coaches, classmates, even a professor, Sexton endured, forgave, and labored to understand. His memoir lucidly explicates the ruinous form of masculinity that is responsible for stunting and twisting too many of our lives, and its extraordinary narrative of reconciliation between father and son, culminating in the delivery of a eulogy that did not shy from describing how a boy could come into this world with the best of intentions and somehow get very lost. Sexton's book strongly encourages us to accept that, in fact, we are able to choose individually and as a society to live a different way. Congratulations to our memoir finalist, Jared Yates Sexton. And the memoir winner is The Crying Book by Heather Crissell. Abbott says of The Crying Book, Edmund Jabez wrote, "You will follow the book whose every page is an abyss where the wing shines with the name." He might have been describing Heather Crissell's indelible memoir, The Crying Book, for on each page, Crissell opens an abyss before us, only to carry us across it on shining wings. The Crying Book is a record of tears, 5 years of tears collected in not quite 400 journal entries, tears upon the death of a friend, at the birth of a child, for the sorrows of others, from tenacious despair. Reading this book, experiencing it, we cannot but ache, yet it is Crissell's singular achievement that we want to ache. It's as if Crissell has taken us by the hand and led us inside a literary work of tender beauty and bruising truth, where the landscape suddenly reveals itself in layers, as Crissell writes, and we become alive to dimension always present, but not always seen. It's the rare book that can bestow upon its readers the saving consolation of hope. The Crying Book is one of those rare books. Congratulations to our memoir winner, Heather Crissell. For the Poetry Chapbook Collection, the nominees are Diana Anhalt, Walking Backward; F.S. Blake, Above the Goldfields; Mimi Curtis Tucker, A Net to Hold the Wind; J. Delane Rims, Before Dragonflies; Anna Harris Parker, Dress; Kara Crewer, Born Again Anything; Amy Pence, Your Posthumous Dress, remnants from the Alexander McQueen collection circa 1992 to 20XX. Cleela Reed, Silk. Ron Self, Art of War. Congratulations to our nominees for the Poetry Chapbook. The Poetry Chapbook finalist is Walking Backward by Diana Anhalt. Cynthia Robinson Young says of Walking Backward, Diana Anhalt's collection, Walking Backward, contains poems that are like doors opening to the stories of life. She seamlessly walks the reader backward through those doors, recalling family histories in poems such as Family Name, when such experiences like migration might easily mean loss of family identity. It is in her lyrical lines such as I lie face down in bed, my naked back your keyboard, that Anhalt's work displays her ear for the music of love, the music of loss. And when she writes, when my love died, life moved to a street my feet can't find, we are eager to accept her invitation to take that walk backward with her. Congratulations to our Poetry Chapbook finalist, Diana Anhalt. The Poetry Chapbook winner is Silk by Cleela Reed. Robinson Young says of Silk, Cleela Reed has created a chapbook that not only educates the readers, but haunts us in reflection. She has skillfully woven history, facts, family, and even a speculative future into a tight collection clothed in the fabric of silk. The poems possess an almost three-dimensional quality, pulling the reader into its softness and its strength, and by the end, one feels wrapped in the collection's cocoon. From the parachutes of war to the scarf that ended Isadora Duncan's life, the reader of Silk will never think about this subject the same way again. Congratulations to our Poetry Chapbook winner, Cleela Reed. Our next category is Poetry Full Length. The nominees are Richard Allen Anderson, Winter Weeds; Ezekiel Black, Letters from the Junta; Jericho Brown, The Tradition; Alice Fryman, Blood Weather; Karen Head, Lost on Purpose; Peter Junker, Things Will Get Worse; Ilya Kaminsky, Deaf Republic; Julia Caroline Knowlton, One Clean Feather; Nick Norwood, Eagle and Phoenix; David Oates, The Deer's Bandana; Stephen Roger Powers, All Seats 50 Cents; Chelsea Rathburn, Still Life with Mother and Knife; Cleela Reed, Or Current Resident; Stephen Owen Shields, Creation Story; Malcolm Tariq, Heed the Hollow; Dan Veach, Lunchboxes; Dana Wildsmith, One Light; Edward Wilson, In a Rich Country; Andrew Zawacki, Unsung Function 11. Congratulations to our Poetry Full-Length nominees. The Poetry Full-Length finalist is In a Rich Country by Edward Wilson. Nicholas Goodley says of In a Rich Country, Edward Wilson achieves one of the most basic duties of poetry. His poems take small moments and spin them into art. Time slows, a memory replays into infinity. This collection uses words to fill us with the magic and grace of everyday life. This book places the richness of this country right into your hands. Congratulations to our Poetry Full-Length finalist, Edward Wilson. The Poetry Full-Length winner is Heed the Hollow by Malcolm Tariq. Goodley says of Heed the Hollow, Malcolm Tariq takes an unflinching look at the politics of his own body, its history, miraculous present condition, and possible futures. At once sexy, whole, confessional, and investigative, Heed the Hollow insists on being handled with care, on taking its time. These poems insist on becoming part of you. These poems do not wait for approval. These poems knock down the door to be let in. Congratulations to our Poetry Full-Length winner, Malcolm Tariq. In the romance category, the nominees are Marilyn Barron, The Saffron Conspiracy, a novel. Susan Carlyle, Highland Docks Christmas Rescue. Susan Carlyle, The Sheik Docks Marriage Bargain. Pam Mantovani, The Christmas Baby Bargain. Tracy Solheim, Shot in the Dark. Wendy Wax, My Ex-Best Friend's Wedding. Congratulations to our romance category nominees. The romance finalist is My Ex-Best Friend's Wedding by Wendy Wax. Sally Kilpatrick says of My Ex-Best Friend's Wedding, while My Ex-Best Friend's Wedding is really a story of mothers and daughters and best friends who reconcile, it's undergirded by a romance 40 years in the making. 3 different points of view add richness to a novel that explores the complexity of relationships, both romantic and platonic. Congratulations to our romance finalist, Wendy Wax. The romance winner is Shot in the Dark by Tracy Solheim. Kilpatrick says of Shot in the Dark, from the very first page, you're drawn into this romantic suspense that takes you from the African savannah to the White House. Solheim deftly interweaves a romance of opposites attracts with a suspense plot about poaching. This book has action, romance, and humor, along with the pathos of 2 characters wrestling with who they really want to be, only to realize they are each of their best selves when they are together. Congratulations to our romance winner, Tracy Solheim. In our final category, Young Adult. The nominees for Young Adult are Roshani Chosky, Aru Shah and the Song of Death. Kimberly Jones and Gilly Segal, I'm Not Dying With You Tonight. Laura Silverman, You Asked for Perfect. Nick Stone, Jackpot. Deborah Wiles, Anthem. Congratulations to our Young Adult nominees. The Young Adult finalist is You Asked for Perfect by Laura Silverman. Lisa Lewis Tyre says of You Asked for Perfect, You Asked for Perfect by Laura Silverman is full of rich characters, smart dialogue, and the soul-crushing, anxiety-producing pressure to succeed that so many real-life teens face. Perfectionists will recognize themselves in the pages of Silverman's novel and will hopefully walk away with a fresh perspective, heartfelt and relatable. Congratulations to our Young Adult finalist, Laura Silverman. The Young Adult winner is Jackpot by Nick Stone. Lewis Tyre says of Jackpot, excellence. Nick Stone's Jackpot has everything. A great story, characters that leap off the page, voice, a thought-provoking message, humor, and heart. I loved every second I spent with Rico Danger. Congratulations to our Young Adult winner, Nick Stone. Congratulations to all the nominees, finalists, and winners of the 2020 Georgia Author of the Year Awards. Thank you so much for attending. Enjoy your day.